Hey, what's going on, guys? Threat Level Midnight here, and today I got a video for you about pistol caliber carbines, specifically ones that take the Colt SMG mags. You might see these kind of straight looking things. I just put this thing together recently. I'm going to start running it in 3-gun matches. I've been wanting to branch into the PCC game for a while, but I didn't want a Glock mag lower like everyone else is shooting. I wanted to kind of do something a little bit different. So I ended up building a gun that's kind of like a what people would call a Block 1 M4A1 SOP Mod kind of clone here. So let's get into it and I'll show you what I've built. The lower receiver is a Spikes Tactical STX9 lower, and it's designed for the Colt SMG mags. Now I like these mags for a number of reasons. One, they're cheap. These are ASC mags. I got them on Gun Mag Warehouse for about $17.99 a piece. They're very highly rated, and so far they've worked. They've all worked flawlessly. I got a bunch of them just so I could have a surplus of them. The mags give you a good positive lockup, but what they also do is they actuate a last round bolt hold open, which works just like a regular AR-15. So when you close the bolt and you have the last round in there, it locks back on that last shot. So something that I like about this compared to other, if you have just kind of a standard AR-9, you're not going to get that last bolt, you know, the last round bolt hold open. If you go with the Aero EPC9, they have kind of a proprietary system that's built into the upper that's actuated by a Glock mag follower. So they had to kind of do something special there. So what I liked about this the most, one is I like the aesthetics of having the straight mag as opposed to a mag that's kind of like coming in at an angle because it's a pistol mag. And then two, it gives you the full functionality of your controls on your gun. So it's just like running an AR-15. Like I said, it's kind of like a clone of a Block 1 M4A1 from the SOP Mod program, and I got a lot of my inspiration from guns that are produced by BG Defense. It's a company that does a lot of clone builds. They were selling them as SBRs. This one obviously has a 16-inch barrel, and I'm not quite done with this gun yet. I'm going to go ahead and chop the barrel down to about 13.7 and just pin and weld a brake on it just to shorten it up a little bit. But I like the front sight base. I like the quad rails. I like the old school Knights Armament, you know, rail covers and the foregrip. I like the B5 stocks. There's something that just makes me happy about shooting guns like this. When I was in the Marine Corps, it was around that Block 1 time, so all the M4A1s, you know, were kind of built just like this. Then I got an Aimpoint Comp M on here, on an ADM throw lever riser, which I really like, and it has the Maytech flip up rear sight on here. So now you see my build. I'll talk about reliability with PCCs and how to put together a good PCC. And so far, you know, I haven't shot this thing very much, maybe 200-300 rounds out of it, just running through the ASC mags, making sure everything functioned properly. And this thing just hummed when it shot. It's a direct blowback system, so you're going to have a lot more felt recoil than maybe you ordinarily would with like a gas impingement or a piston. But it's not bad at all. It's really pleasant to shoot. However, there's a specific kind of formula that goes into your bolt and your buffer weight and your spring system. So when I told some people in the 3-gun matches that I shoot with, like, hey, I'm going to build guns, I'm going to build this PCC, they're like, oh, maybe you should just buy the first one and then try to build, you know, your second one, you know, just so you have one that works. But I've been building guns for a long time, and I grasp the concept firmly.
Firmly grasp it!
And basically, there's kind of a sweet spot between the combination of your bolt weight and your buffer weight, and it's somewhere between 20 and 24 ounces. So I have the Spikes STX9 buffer in here, and then I have the Palmetto G49 bolt. It's their enhanced 9mm bolt, and it kind of falls right at about 22 ounces, right in the sweet spot in that area. So when I shot it, the thing functioned flawlessly, and I really liked how it shot. I'm going to try to shoot it this weekend compared to a lot of other factory built AR-9s and see how it stands up, like recoil wise. Again, it just has an A2 birdcage on it, so no muzzle brake or anything, but I'm just curious to see how I did compared to some other factory guns, so I'll let you guys know on that. But let's go ahead and look at this thing up close and see how it works. All right, so you can see an up close view of the Spikes STX9 lower. And you can see it has kind of an extended version of a normal AR bolt catch, but that's because when they designed the Colt SMG mags, they designed it to be used in conjunction with this device. You can see right there, trips the bolt catch every time. It just functions like a normal AR-15 bolt catch. So that's kind of the uniqueness of the lower right there compared to a regular AR9. Really good fit and finish on it. A little bit of a bevel here in the mag well. It's all billet, so it has a machined-in trigger guard and everything. I was really happy with the overall construction of it. But let's get into the buffers. So if you want a reliable PCC, you need to tune it just right, or you need to have the right parts. So you can see here, this is a standard, like an AR-15 carbine buffer, and this is the Spikes STX9. You can see it's about 3/4 of an inch longer because the bolt on a AR9 is 3/4 of an inch shorter because of the way the barrel sits, right? In an AR-15 barrel, you have locking lugs that your bolt locks into, and the chamber is further forward. So to make up for that, they shortened the AR9 bolts by about 3/4 of an inch, and Spikes makes up for it like this. So if you want to run a regular buffer, like a regular AR-15 buffer, you need to have a spacer in your buffer tube so it doesn't go back too far and your bolt doesn't launch into your buffer tube all the way and recess inside. And then if you're going to run a regular buffer, this one is 7.7 ounces. I don't know the exact weight on this, but this feels about 3 times as heavy as this one. So if you're going to run a regular carbine spring and a carbine buffer, you need to you need to have a spacer, and 2, you probably need a much more stout spring to accommodate. I know a lot of people were running like 308 recoil springs, but that's going to cause your bolt to cycle forward and slam a lot harder than a regular one. So my recommendation is go with the modified buffer that's already pre-weighted, so you can run your standard spring and you don't have to play the game of tuning springs, a part that wears out. You can just have a buffer that does that job for you. Now let's take a look at the upper. All right, so now we're looking at our upper, and you can see I went with the front sight base on here because I like it. It has a Midwest, this is a mid-length quad rail that's on there, so I just had to take the Delta ring off when I installed it. The upper is just from Palmetto State, and the Spikes Tactical upper that I wanted that has a little ejection port covered, and it's built specifically for 9mm was out of stock, so this one will have to do for now. Aesthetically, I don't like it as much, but it seems to run just fine. I did have to make some modifications though, running the Colt mags, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if we look at the bolt here, you can see because it's not a carrier, it's an actual bolt. You know, you don't have like an AR-15, the recoil lugs on your bolt face that lock into the gun. It's shorter, and that's why Spikes made that lengthened, that buffer right there. So it takes standard charging handle, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm looking at this, and I could probably just run this upper with a 5.56 gun as well. But if you look down the barrel, instead of recoil like locking lug channels, you just have the chamber right here. So the chamber is much closer than an AR-15 because this thing doesn't have a bolt. And I'll show you a regular AR-15 upper, and you guys can get an idea of how far back the chamber is. Now you can see the chamber is substantially further back, which is the reason the bolts are different shapes and sizes, and why you can't just run a standard carbine bolt there. But other than that, like I said, I have an ADM riser for the Aimpoint comp, and it's just a front sight base, and there's nothing in here. There was a set screw holding the original handguard hanger on, but I went with a free float anyways, and it's just got an A2 bird cage. But so far this combo has run very reliably. Now let's talk about the magazine issue. All right, so the mag issue that I'm talking about, and I'll just show you on the mags right here, you can see there's a little bit of paint removed on these ASC mags, and I thought maybe just the paint was too thick, and I'll show you another one here and here. So I kind of filed it down a little bit because I was having a hard time locking the mags into the gun. They would go, but it just took a lot of force. But what I ended up realizing is that inside this upper, and again, it looks like a fairly cheaply made upper, It needed some material removed right here. Maybe like 2/100ths of an inch is all it took. You can kind of see that I just kind of took down a little bit of material on this side and this side right here to get the mags to seat properly all the time. Now, again, they would seat. It just took more force than I thought should have been necessary. But other than that, I haven't had to do any like real modification to this thing. So that was the only issue. And I'll show you guys now how the mags lock up. All right, so now with the gun back assembled, I'll show you this is an empty mag. Good positive click there, spits out when it's freely. And then these ones, when they're full, they do require a little tap, no different than like an old school metal mag from an AR-15. Now, something that I will say, here's a con about the Colt SMG mags. They are straight mags, they are double stack. So putting 32 rounds in these things, it's kind of a chore, right? So load your mags ahead of time at the range so you're not wasting time filling these things. You can see you have a nice bright orange follower in these ones, gives you your round count. But I'll tell you what, it is kind of a pain to load all these rounds into each of these mags because of the way they're built. They're kind of like, they look just like Uzi mags. So that's kind of the only downside, I would say, to the Colt SMG mags. Everything else, I like the reliability of it so far. I like the look of it. And I like that it has that last round bolt hold open. All right, guys, so that's my build, and that's what I think about the Colt SMG style PCCs. I'm going to run it in a match this weekend. I'll make a follow-up video and tell you how it ran and how it stacked up against other guns. But hope you like it. If there's something you liked or hated about it, give me a shout. Please like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.